What's going on, guys, and welcome to another episode of Smash JT. Google may have just turned the entire video game industry on its head with their announcement of Stadia, a streaming service for basically every screen in existence, but it's gonna depend on a few factors. Google Stadia is a direct attack on the video game industry, and it is not to be taken lightly by any of the major players, be it Nintendo, Sony, Microsoft, or even more importantly, Steam Store and the Epic Game Store, because this right here looks like it's going to be starting from the PC crowd and growing from there. Yes, it's going to work on every screen imaginable this day and age. Mobile phones, computers, TVs, you name it, it'll work on them. But for the vast majority of gamers, it looks like it's going to focus a lot on PCs. They announced a Stadia controller that's going to work over Wi-Fi, which is kind of wild and different from any other controller that I've seen in the past, and supposedly that's going to be used in order to reduce lag even more. Everything about this is trying to focus on reducing lag, streamlining the service, and making sure the games come to you as presentable and playable as possible with silky smooth gameplay, 60 frames per second, 4K, everything, all the buzzwords they're throwing around. But when they actually put it to action, there were a few concerns. It looked like it was hiccuping a little bit, looked like it was a little bit laggy, wasn't really registering with the controls during the Keynote Address. That doesn't mean that it won't work in the future, it just means there are some concerns around that. And if this service is laggy, if it doesn't work properly, if it's not the best experience a gamer can get, it's going to fail. That right there is the biggest key to this entire thing. It doesn't matter what the price point is, it doesn't matter if the games are good, it doesn't matter what they do with the service, it just means that it needs to work without flaws. Get that down first and everything else may fall into place. Yes, the games are extremely important. I thought it was kind of odd Google didn't focus on games with a game streaming service. They talked about a couple, they talked about Assassin's Creed Odyssey and how that was part of their Project Stream in 2018 where they were testing this and making sure it worked well. They brought out id Software's Doom Eternal creator, they brought out a few other game developers, but honestly, it didn't really seem like they were focused too much on specific game experiences. Nothing new, nothing to blow people away besides the new Doom, but we didn't know how well it was running. They didn't announce anything to blow us away on that front. Again, not a huge deal, but definitely interesting with such a big event. You think they'd have a major partner coming in saying, this game is coming exclusively to this service because we want to promote this service. Another interesting tidbit that they announced is that it has 10.7 teraflops of power, which to people who are not in the industry is absolutely meaningless. But when they put the number combined next to the Xbox One and PlayStation 4, you add those up and the Stadia has more processing power than the Xbox One and PlayStation 4 combined, along with unifying tons of different game engines including Unity, Havoc, and they go through a slew of different popular game engines like the Cry engine, like the Unreal engine, and tons of other ones. This platform service will unify and integrate all of those together into one area where all developers can work together and have their games all come out on this service. And that's all well and good, but like I said, if they don't get the lag down, if they don't get this to work seamless so that there are no flaws, no issues while playing the games, gamers will fall back to what they know. It has to work perfectly. And currently, where we find ourselves in this age of technology, Google has a good jump start on the rest of the industry, but it's still not perfect. And it's going to require the users a lot of internet speed in order to get these games working as Google intended them to. Which is ultimately the biggest drawback of this thing and could be the downfall of it if they can't get it right. The biggest thing that came out of this for me personally as a gamer and something new that I could see an entirely new experience out of is a thing they called state share, where you can actually press a button and save a place where you are in a game and send it over to friends and people who play that game with you to see if they can complete the challenge, if they can defeat the end boss. Big for speed runs, things like that, to see who can do something faster than another person. It opens up an entirely new area of gaming that until that point never existed. A lot of people in the stream, when I was streaming this live, weren't really loving it. They were salty, as Super Nintendo stated. The idea of this Google Stadia wasn't super popular in the chat. People were not liking a lot of the features, or felt like it was falling short, falling flat in a lot of different areas. But for me personally, what I found to be the one thing that could make this thing supersede anything that's out there already and become the next platform of choice for gamers is crowdplay. Because if you're watching one of your favorite streamers or people you watch on YouTube gaming all the time, you can actually press a button and join in the queue to play with them. Just imagine the possibilities for gigantic YouTubers getting on board with this, and gamers wanted to be a part of the games with them. Battle royales, 100+ people together, or even smaller time things like basketball games or soccer games. Being able to play with your favorite creators, join a queue with them, having the ability for gamers to come together with ease of access by just pressing a button completely revolutionizes the entire industry currently. There is no way to do that as it stands right now. You need to go through a bunch of different processes, invite somebody, wait for them to join your party, load into the lobby, then start playing the game, hope they don't leave, hope there are no internet connection issues, and then actually play the game with them. Then back out, then do the whole thing again. The way crowdplay is set up is basically to be the next generation lobby, where people can just press a button and be in the lobby with you. It's wild, and it's something that should have existed years ago. But the ability to just watch a YouTube video owned by Google, YouTube, and then at the end of the video have a button to press to play the game, it's kind of mind-blowing. And if it works like Google is promising, which is the biggest if out of all of this, then like I said, this has a chance to be a major disruptor in the entire video game industry. But until we know if it works well, until we get a lot of other questions answered about this, about the processing power, the speed, the frames per second, how much internet's going to be required, and the price, how it's going to be set up, it's going to be up in the air for a lot of gamers. Now, if Google, who owns YouTube, integrates this with YouTube Red as part of the monthly package, I could see it taking off. People would actually be buying the subscriptions in YouTube Red to want to be a part of this. Even if they increased it or made it a higher tier to be a part of Google Stadia and being able to play these games anywhere, it could be a good value proposition. But the price means nothing. It could be free. If the games aren't playable, if it doesn't work well, then everything else falls apart. So until we get answers and see this for ourselves and play it out in real time, once massive amounts of people are using the infrastructure all at once, we'll get a better picture as to if this is going to take over the world or not. And if it doesn't, I still feel like it's insight to what the future of gaming is going to be. Like it or not, a lot of traditionalists like their physical copies of games, like to be able to hold them, be able to buy them and sell them. This is the direction the game industry is going, and honestly, it is for the better, assuming it works. Ultimately, this thing has left a lot more questions than answers for everybody involved. When does it come out? Sometime in 2019. When exactly? We don't know that yet. What games are going to run on it? We don't know that yet. What internet speed are we going to need to be able to play them silky smooth? We don't know that yet. How much is the service going to cost? We don't know that yet. How much is the controller going to cost? We don't know that yet. We don't know anything. That was the biggest takeaway I had from this entire event. There was no answers to the questions that were raised about everything they brought up along the way. There's a lot of potential here. I don't want to demean it, devalue it, and say it's crap, because I'm excited about it. But I would have liked a lot more answers when it comes to a keynote address at a game developers conference in 2019. All this exciting tech and no details about any of it. Now, if it wasn't coming out in 2019, I could excuse that, but it's coming out this year, so they could have easily given more information about this if it's gonna be ready that soon. At least that's where I stand on the situation with Google Stadia, but as you know, I'm always very interested in your take on this. So let me know down in the comments below, are you interested in the Google Stadia? Do you feel like this thing has potential like me? Or are you kind of feeling like Google dropped the ball here and it's not really going to pick up? It's just another failed attempt in a long line of failed attempts that Google's had trying to break into the video game industry. That's all I got for you guys today. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, you stay smashing.